My name is Daniel McAllister. I live alone in the wilderness of northern Alberta, not far from the edge of Wood Buffalo National Park. It's just me, a log cabin I built with my own hands, an endless snow-covered forest in every direction. Life out here isn't for everyone, but it suits me. There's a kind of peace you can only find this far from civilization, a stillness that makes you feel like the world is holding its breath. Sure, it can be tough. Winters are long and brutal. The nearest town is too far to visit on a whim, and you have to be okay with your own company. Supplies have to be planned months in advance. If something breaks, you fix it yourself or you learn to do without. I make my living by hunting and trapping. Fur is still a valuable commodity, and I sell pelts to traders in the spring when the rivers thaw and travel becomes easier. As a Métis of Dene descent, I don't need a license to hunt on this land, which gives me an edge in a market where regulators can be tight. My ancestors lived off this land for generations, and I tried to honor their ways, taking only what I need and using as much as I can. When the seasons allow, I also hunt and fish to keep myself fed, but I've learned to rely on the pantry I've spent years perfecting. Canned goods, dried meat, flour, and other staples fill the shelves, carefully rationed to last through the lean months. For water, I have a hand pump connected to a deep well that almost never freezes, and a wood-burning stove keeps the worst of the cold at bay. I never minded the isolation. If anything, I crave it. There's a freedom in knowing you don't have to answer to anyone but yourself. Out here, it's just you and the land. No schedules, no noise, no distractions. Just the crunch of snow underfoot, the whistle of the wind through the trees, and the occasional distant call of a wolf or an owl. It's a hard life, but it's mine. And it was peaceful until this winter. This winter, however, the wilderness doesn't feel peaceful anymore. I can't shake the sense that something is wrong. The forest, once full of subtle, familiar sounds, has grown too quiet. The animals that normally pass through, deer, foxes, rabbits, and the like, are nowhere to be seen. And at night, when the wind dies down, I hear something. I'm not sure what. It's faint, like footsteps crunching in the snow, too slow and too deliberate to be the wind scattering ice. At first, I told myself it was my imagination. After all, I've been living like this for years. It's not the first time the silence has played tricks on me. But now, I'm not so sure. The real weirdness started about 3 weeks ago. At first, it was the smell. Something rancid wafting through the cold air. I thought maybe a moose had wandered too far and frozen to death, or wolves had taken down a deer. That happens sometimes. I went out to check, trekking through the powder in my snowshoes, but I didn't find anything. Then came the tracks. Massive paw prints in the snow, deep enough to suggest something big and heavy. The claws left grooves that stretched half a foot in front of each print. Bear tracks. I recognized them from seeing smaller prints before, but something about these wasn't right. Bears hibernate this time of year, and the way these tracks zigzagged, doubling back, crossing their own path, didn't feel like an animal just passing through. It felt deliberate, like something circling. I caught my first glimpse of it at dawn a few days later. I was splitting wood behind the cabin when I saw movement near the tree line, a hulking shadow against the snow. It was a bear, no doubt about that, but it moved all wrong, jerky, like a puppet on tangled strings, and its fur, what little it had left, hung in ragged patches. Bone gleamed in places where the hide had rotted away, and its eyes glowed. Not bright, like headlights or a flashlight, but faint, like the dying embers of a fire. Impossible to miss in the oncoming dark. I know you're not supposed to make sudden movements around bears, but I bolted inside, slamming the door and locking it behind me. Not that a deadbolt would stop something that size, but it made me feel marginally better. Since then, I haven't left. The bear, if that's even what it is, has been hanging around the cabin. Sometimes I see it in the yard, just standing there, its head lolling to one side like its neck doesn't work right. Other times it's at the edge of the woods, pacing back and forth, glowing eyes burning in the poor light. The smell is so much worse now, like rot and wet fur and something sour I can't place. It seeps through the cracks in the walls, no matter how many rags I shove in to block it. I haven't slept much. Every creak on the cabin makes me jump. I keep expecting to hear that thing pawing at the door, but it hasn't come closer than the porch. Not yet. I've tried everything to scare it off. Banging pots, shouting, even firing a few shots into the air. Nothing works. It doesn't flinch. Doesn't move. Just stands there, staring with those awful glowing eyes. I even used the bangers I keep for scaring off bears, the kind that let out a sharp crack like a gunshot, but louder. I fired 3 of them into the air, one after the other, until my ears were ringing. It didn't so much as twitch. Just stood there, motionless, like the sound didn't even register. The next day, it crept closer to the cabin. I grabbed my bear spray, ran to the porch, and let loose a long, burning jet of the stuff in its direction. The wind carried some of it back toward me, making my throat burn and my eyes water. But that thing? It didn't react at all. Didn't sniff. Didn't back away. Didn't even blink. That's when the real fear started to set in. The worst part? It doesn't always stay. Sometimes it disappears for hours, even a full day. I think maybe finally it's gone. But then I'll catch sight of it, again, at the tree line, as still and silent as before, watching. I don't know what it wants. I don't even know what it is. But one thing is clear, it's not natural. It looks dead, like it's rotting from the inside out, but it keeps moving, keeps coming back. I don't know what to do. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it wants. If anyone's reading this and you know how to deal with a fucking zombie bear, please tell me before I starve, freeze, or it decides it's tired of waiting. Update. I don't even know how to start this. It's gotten worse. The bear is still here, hasn't moved from its usual spot near the porch for the past 2 days. Just stands there, swaying slightly like a drunk trying to stay upright. I don't think it has any body heat. The snow around it doesn't melt. Every now and then those glowing eyes seem to find me through the window. I don't know how it knows where I am. I keep the curtains closed now, but it knows. Worse, it isn't alone anymore. It showed up last night just as the light was fading. I saw this shape moving between the trees at first. Big. Taller than the bear, antlers silhouetted against the twilight. When it emerged from the tree line, I realized what it was. An enormous bull moose. At least, it was a moose, once. I watched it from the corner of the window, trying not to be seen. The thing is massive, fur-matted and missing clumps, exposed flesh underneath a grayish-white that reminds me of freezer-burnt meat. Its antlers are broken, jagged points jutting out from its head like splintered bones, and its eyes glow the same as the bear's. The moose moved slowly when it arrived. Lumbering into the yard, its steps were heavy and deliberate, like it was dragging itself forward rather than walking. I swear I could hear the creak of its joints even from inside. It stopped at the porch and seemed like it was sniffing for something, then lumbered off to stand next to the bear. No moose just stands next to a fucking bear. Now they're both out there. The bear near the porch. The moose a little farther back by the tree line. They haven't moved. Haven't made a sound. They just watch. I don't understand why they haven't attacked. They could break through the door without much effort, I'm sure of that. But they're just waiting. For what? I don't know. I can't stop thinking about how the moose arrived. It came here on purpose, didn't it? Like, it knew where it was going? Like the bear had called it. It sounds insane, but the whole situation is insane. I've been trying to figure out if there's anything I might have done to bring them here. Something that drew them to me. I haven't hunted anything bigger than a rabbit in years, and I haven't been near the carcass pit since last spring. Could it be the cabin itself? Something buried on the property, or is it just me? Or is this all random and I'm trying to read a pattern in something inherently arbitrary? I don't know, and I don't have anyone to ask. The satellite phone's been dead since the storm, and even if I could dig my way out of the shed, I'm no longer sure the snowmobile would start this level of cold. I'm basically typing this now to give myself the semblance of talking to someone who might have answers. Or maybe I'm just writing it down in case, well. All I know is I'm not alone out here anymore. It's not the kind of company you can ignore. If the satellite phone starts working again, and I can post this, if anyone reads it, if there's anything you can think of that might get rid of them, please let me know.
I don't know what's happening anymore. I don't even know why I'm writing this. The phone still isn't working. Maybe I just need to feel like I'm not going insane. The bear and the moose are still out there. And now there are more of the fucking things. It started this morning. I heard something howling. Not the usual kind of howl. Nothing like the wolves I've heard before. This was all broken and garbled, like something imitating the sound but getting it all wrong. When I looked out the window, I saw it. A wolf, or what's left of one. Its fur is mostly gone, leaving exposed sinew and patches of blackened flesh. It looks like it was hit by a car and then burned or something. One of its back legs is twisted at an impossible angle, but it still walks. It circled the cabin, stopping every so often to tilt its head back and let out that awful, unnatural howl. And it took up a post not far from the moose and bear. It was like the three of them were forming a grotesque picket line or something. Then came the bobcat. I didn't see it until it was nearly at the porch. Smaller than the others, but just as wrong. Its jaw hangs loose, almost unhinged, and there's a gaping hole in its side where ribs are poking through. It sat at the edge of the step, staring up at the door like it was waiting to be let in. Then it took a spot not far from the wolf. 4 zombie-looking animals in a row, all watching my cabin. It hasn't stopped since then. Now there's a mountain lion, skin stretched tight over its bones like an old drum, pacing near the edge of the yard. It looks like it died of starvation or something. A fox missing half its face from what looks like buckshot came next. A deer with shattered antlers, one of its eyes nothing but an empty socket. They're all just standing there, watching. Out of desperation, I tried to call someone local for help. The ranger station, a neighbor in town, even the old trapper who lives deeper in the woods. But I couldn't get through. The phone lines crackle with static when they connect at all. And the one time I thought I heard someone on the other end, the line went dead before I could say a word. My radio's no better. It picks up nothing but bursts of faint, distorted sounds like voices muffled underwater. Whatever's happening out there, it feels like it's cutting me off from the rest of the world, torturing me by letting me get so close to aid without allowing me to actually take advantage of it. I managed to briefly get back online, but that only made things worse. One person swore I should burn sage and sprinkle salt around the perimeter. I don't have sage, but I used the salt from my pantry. Another told me to bury a mirror in the snow to reflect the death away, whatever that means. So I took the one off my medicine cabinet and put it out there. Didn't work. Someone else suggested I try communicating with them. Fucking communicating. Like I should go out there and start talking to a pack of undead animals. I haven't had the courage to try that one yet. I'm running out of time. My food is almost gone. The cold is starting to creep in through the walls. I've shoved towels under the door to keep the smell out, but it's not working. The stench is everywhere, like I'm breathing death itself. They haven't moved any closer. Are they waiting for something? The wolf's howl cuts through the silence every so often. Each time I think I hear a response in the distance. More of them getting closer. The snow is piled so high I can't dig out even if I wanted to risk it. I've been rationing, but I figure I've got maybe another week before I'm down to melted snow and whatever crumbs are left at the pantry. I would usually take the snowmobile and head off to resupply, but I don't want to go anywhere near those things. If anyone's still reading this, please help me. I don't care how crazy your idea sounds. I'll try anything at this point. I just need to know how to make them go away so I can leave.
Update number 3. I don't know how much longer I can stand this. The cold isn't just seeping through the cracks in the cabin anymore. It's inside. The walls feel like ice. The floors are almost too cold to walk on, even in boots. I'm wrapped in every layer I own, huddled next to the stove, but it doesn't help. And the smell. It's everywhere now. Thick and suffocating. It doesn't matter how many towels I shove under the doors or how many times I cover my face with a scarf. It's inescapable. This clinging, rotten stench that makes me gag every time I breathe. It feels like the cabin itself is dying. I don't know how to describe what's happening to me. I feel different. Like the cold and the smell are doing something to my mind. Yesterday, I found myself standing at the door thinking about stripping naked, walking out into the snow and just letting hypothermia take me. I had my fucking hand on the latch before I came to my senses. Last night was worse. I was sitting by the stove trying to coax a little more heat out of the dwindling wood pile when the thought hit me like a fever. Burn it. Burn everything. I nearly did it too. My hands were shaking so badly as I held a lit match over the kindling, but I stopped myself at the last second. I don't even know why. And then this morning, I looked in the mirror, and I didn't recognize myself. I swear my eyes were glowing. It was the same unnatural light I've seen in the dead animals' eyes. I hit the other wall of the bathroom with how fast I backed away. It took a while to get my breathing under control and look again. My eyes were normal that time. It looked like me again. But I couldn't forget what I had seen. I pretty much snapped at that point. I grabbed my hunting rifle, threw open the door, and stepped out into the freezing dawn. The bear was closest, so I aimed at it first. I didn't care if it tore me apart for it. I just needed to do something, anything, to make it all stop. I emptied the entire magazine, one shot after another, into its fucking skull. The bullets hit, I'm sure of it. I saw them tear through flesh, heard the wet thuds as they connected. I took out one of those glowing eyes, but the bear didn't flinch. Neither did the wolf, or the moose, or the others. They just stood there, watching me as if nothing had happened. I dropped the rifle in the snow and stumbled back inside, shaking and gasping, but not from the cold. I don't even know what I was expecting. Maybe for them to finally move, to react, to do something. Instead, they just stood there. They let me back my way up onto the porch, shut the door, and lock it again, all without making a single move. And now, as I sit here writing this, I feel like I'm losing what little is left of my mind. The cold is worse. The smell is worse. And I can't stop thinking about that flicker of light in my own reflection. I don't know if I'll make it through another night. Final update. This is going to be my last entry. The house is completely surrounded. Every window I look out, I see them. The bear, the moose, the wolves, the mountain lion, the bobcat, and more besides. So many more that I stopped counting. Rabbits with hollow, blackened eye sockets, a beaver dragging itself forward on 2 mangled legs, birds perched on the roof, feathers, patchy heads twitching unnaturally. Even fish, for God's sake, frozen solid and scattered in the snow, their lifeless eyes somehow aimed towards the house. I don't know how much longer I can survive here. The generator keeps cutting out. The pipes are frozen solid, so there's no running water anymore. I've been melting snow on my paraffin camping stove, but the fuel is almost gone. The food ran out yesterday. I'm freezing. My hands are stiff as I write this. I can barely feel my toes. The cold feels... I don't know how else to describe it other than alive. It's crawling into every corner of the cabin, seeping into my skin. Last night I dreamed I died and come back as a frozen zombie myself. When I woke up, I decided to try communicating like that person online said. I stepped out onto the porch. The air was so sharp it felt like it was cutting my lungs on each inhale. But I had to try. I stood there, surrounded by the silence and all those glowing eyes, and I asked a simple question. What do you want? They didn't respond. They didn't move, didn't growl or snap or anything. They just stared. All of them in perfect, eerie unison. It felt like being pinned down, like their collective gaze was a weight pressing into my chest. I swear, my heart beat slower until I looked away. I'm going to try to leave. If they didn't move when I was on the porch, maybe they'll let me go if I just walk and don't look at them. Maybe they're only here to watch, not to stop me, and if I'm wrong, well, staying here isn't an option anymore. I'll freeze or starve, or both if I don't try. I've packed what little I have, extra layers of flashlight, the last bit of paraffin, and a knife that's more for my own comfort than anything else. I'm going to head for the tree line, then follow the old snowmobile trail towards town. It's a long shot, but it's my only shot. If anyone reads this, wish me luck. They're still watching. Always watching. I don't know if they'll stop when I'm gone or move on to someone else, because the only thing I could see missing from their army of corpses is a human.